You already WavyOcho gonna react to the real reason why Mercedes Moné joined AEW and she rejected WWE. Excuse me. So yeah. What the fuck? Why?
Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, has all but been confirmed to have signed for AEW. A Dynamite episode in Boston has just been announced, and it's heavily speculated that she's going to make her official AEW debut on that show. But how has this come about? With interest from the WWE for a return, how did she end up with AEW, and why did she leave WWE in the first place? Well, leave a like on this video and let's talk about it. Let's talk about why Mercedes Moné left the WWE to join AEW. Before we get to her and AEW, let's start off by rewinding our minds back to when she left WWE and why she left the WWE. At WrestleMania 38 in 2022, Sasha Banks and Naomi captured the women's tag team titles.
And that was Sasha Banks' only first win at WrestleMania. It's crazy.
And by this point, the women's tag team titles were very much an afterthought and desperately needed reviving, and Sasha and Naomi were the perfect team to help do that. They were two good acts in the division, good workers, and had good fan backing who'd be invested in the title reign. However, there was one group that weren't interested in investing in Sasha and Naomi's title reign, and that is of course the WWE themselves, and Sasha and Naomi would soon recognize this themselves. Sasha Banks and Naomi defended the titles twice, first against Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan on a Raw 2 weeks after WrestleMania, and then against Natalya and Shayna Baszler just a couple of days before Sasha Banks' final appearance on a Monday Night Raw show. Well, sort of appearance. We'll get there in a second, but as I said, these were on TV and the titles were still left off pay-per-view and were still an afterthought, and Sasha Banks and Naomi weren't happy with the direction of the women's tag team division. But the final nail in the coffin was when it was announced that on the May 16th Raw episode there would be a six-pack challenge with Sasha Banks, Naomi, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Doudrop and Nikki ASH all competing for a shot at the women's title, and this is what ultimately broke the camel's back, as Sasha Banks and Naomi were very confused as to why the women's tag champions were being used this way.
Yeah, like both of them in the fucking six-man challenge match, six-woman challenge match. It doesn't make sense while they tag team champions. Feel me?
As they had suggested to do a tag match against Nikki and Doudrop, who were one of the only other tag teams in the division. And there are varying reports as to what would happen next backstage on Raw that night, but the main stories that went around are that Sasha and Naomi—
and mind you, Naomi is returned recently. Sasha Banks she looked like she's heading to AEW.
had a creative dispute with Vince McMahon over their booking, and that they walked into John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases, placed the women's tag belts on his desk, and walked away. But beyond the details of how it happened, what we did know is that Sasha Banks and Naomi had left the arena and walked out on the show, and we knew this because it was confirmed to us by WWE themselves, first in a statement they released and then live on commentary on a SmackDown episode. In one of the most surreal moments in recent WWE history, on the very next episode of SmackDown after Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out, Michael Cole ripped into Sasha Banks and Naomi for about a minute and a half, just focused on the commentary
How unprofessional they are and all that shit.
Team as Pat McAfee sat there in silence for letting the WWE fans down and walking out of Raw. It was crazy that this was included on the show. WWE also released a statement on their website where they completely exposed the business and say they claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they'd had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the—
Everybody knows it's scripted. Everybody knows it's scripted at this point. Wrestling is scripted.
requirements of their contracts. Just a weird statement all round, and it was very weird as to how public WWE were with this incident, which they never usually are in regards to backstage incidents. And so at this point it's safe to say that things weren't looking good between Sasha Banks and Naomi and the WWE. Months would go by without any updates on the two, whilst they were away from TV, and the women's tag titles remained vacant and absent from TV as well. However, when WWE management switched around and Triple H became in a creative position, there was confidence that we could see Sasha Banks return, and talks were held, and there was a big chance that Sasha Banks could possibly return. However, Sasha Banks reportedly requested higher earnings in her contract renewal, similar to the likes of other women's stars.
If she want that money, I don't blame her. She wants the money.
Such as Becky and Charlotte Flair, which WWE weren't willing to give, and negotiations broke down in December 2022 as Sasha Banks officially left the WWE. And a month later, she would appear at New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 17, attacking the IWGP Women's Champion Kairi under her brand new
Kairi's in WWE right now. She returned. Kairi saying she returned to WWE.
Name of Mercedes Moné, and herself and Kairi would have a title match a couple of months later at New Japan's Battle in the Valley, where Mercedes Moné would capture the IWGP Women's title. A big start to life outside of the WWE. She'd defend the title in a three-way at New Japan Sakura Genesis in April against AZM and Hazuki, before losing the title to Mayu Iwatani at Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom just 2 weeks later, ending her reign with the IWGP Women's title at 64 days. But Mercedes Moné would be straight back into the title picture, but this time she would be back in the States as she was looking to become the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Champion, and she'd be involved in the tournament for the title at New Japan Strong Resurgence a month later, where she had 2 matches on the show. She first defeated Stephanie Vaquer to advance to the finals to face Willow Nightingale for the title, and this was an amazing match, and a match where Willow surprisingly won and became the first ever New Japan Strong Women's Champion. And well, Mercedes was actually scheduled to win this match and the title, but unfortunately she was injured in this match with a supposed sprained ankle, and she herself called the decision and the audible to give Willow the win. A true pro right there. And that match with Willow from last May is actually Mercedes Moné's most recent match, as she has been out of action since, and talks between herself.
Was she injured though? Was she injured or something like that? Let me know, bro, because I haven't checked.
With the WWE and AEW began to intensify. It all started when Mercedes Moné was shown in the crowd at AEW All In and acknowledged on the broadcast of the show. And at that point, you'd think when they're getting shown in the crowd on the broadcast and whatnot that they're probably officially signed, or at least close to being signed, right? But apparently not, because Mercedes Moné would not appear for AEW at all for the remainder of the year, with no word if she had been signed or not, before reports came out in December that talks with herself and AEW had gone cold. And now with Triple H in full control and the 2024 Royal Rumble coming up, people began to speculate that she would make her return to the WWE. However, it was revealed that talks between herself and the WWE had also broken down, and she was expected to make her debut elsewhere imminently. Her talks with WWE broke down due to them being far apart in money once again, with Mercedes Moné reportedly wanting similar money.
Sasha Banks is all about the money, or Mercedes Moné. She's about that bag, bro. She got that bread. She want that bread, you feel me?
To Charlotte Flair, who had just recently signed a very lucrative contract extension. And sure enough, rumors of AEW and Mercedes Moné reaching a deal were reported, and it's all led up to just recently where AEW have announced a special episode of Dynamite. Big Business to take place in Boston in March. Boston, which of course happens to be Mercedes Moné's hometown, and hey, what do you know, they spelt Boston wrong in the graphic.
Yeah. Just put 2 S's.
Interesting. Yeah, it couldn't be more obvious if they tried that Mercedes Moné is going to be on this show. Well, hopefully. Imagine how awkward it would be if she just doesn't debut after all this hype. Like, what happens? Regardless though, I'm confident that we will see this happen, and it's very exciting to see Mercedes Moné coming into AEW, and I think she's coming in at a very good time, where the women are finally getting a lot more focus and spotlight on AEW and Ring of Honor TV. And there's a lot of people for her to face, and a lot of good matches for Mercedes Moné in AEW. Shida, Statlander, Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm, Deonna Purrazzo, the Willow rematch, and lads, we have to do everything we can to get Mercedes Moné versus Jamie Hayter at All In. It just has to be done. But hey, that's it from me. Leave a like on this video if you enjoy.
Fuck. So yeah, bro. That's the vid. So yeah, man. So yeah, but let me know what y'all think about Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné. And comment down below what is your favorite match of it could be WWE or in New Japan. Let me know. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. We're just checking out you are.